What if their silence was never rejection, but a sign that what they felt for you was too deep, too overwhelming, and too real for them to handle? Welcome to Jungian Pulse, where we explore the hidden depths of human emotion and inner transformation. Today, we're uncovering the truth behind silence, emotional distance, and what it really means when someone you care about pulls away. If these words have found you in this exact moment, pause for a second and recognize that not everything in life arrives randomly. Not every message shows up right when your heart is quietly searching for answers by coincidence. There is a part of you that has been seeking clarity, a part of you that has been waiting for something to make sense of the confusion you've been carrying. That is not accidental. That is why you're here now. The person you keep thinking about, the one who crosses your mind in still moments, the one whose silence feels heavier than any explanation, is more connected to this moment than you realize. Stay with this, because what you're about to understand could completely shift how you see their distance. It might unravel the painful narrative your mind has been replaying in the quiet hours, the one that tells you that you weren't enough, that they let go easily, that their silence means nothing remains. Listen carefully, because that story may not be true. Silence is not always empty. Sometimes it is filled with things that are hard to express: confusion, emotion, fear, thoughts that don't yet have words. When feelings become intense, overwhelming, or too real to process, people often react in unexpected ways. Instead of leaning in, they pull back. Instead of speaking, they go quiet. They may disappear outwardly while everything inside them becomes louder. So before you decide this is the end of the story, allow yourself to see it fully. What looks finished on the surface is not always finished within someone's heart. The silence you've been carrying may be far more complex than your pain has allowed you to believe. It's easy to interpret distance as rejection. Easy to assume they moved forward while you were left behind searching for meaning. Easy to believe that their silence reflects a lack of care. But what if their distance didn't come from absence of feeling, but from too much of it? What if what they felt became overwhelming, too fast, or too difficult for them to handle in a steady way? For many people, deep emotions don't lead to clear communication. They lead to withdrawal. Not because they don't care, but because caring brings up things they're not ready to face: old wounds, old fears, familiar patterns of self-protection. When a connection reaches those hidden layers, even something meaningful can feel threatening. So instead of expressing it, they retreat. Instead of explaining, they go silent. From the outside, it appears distant or cold, but internally, it can feel chaotic. This is important to understand. Silence doesn't always mean feelings have faded. Sometimes it means those feelings became too complicated to put into words, too heavy to organize, too real to control. And when someone feels that loss of control, stepping back may be the only way they know how to regain balance. Don't overlook this, because it changes how you interpret everything. What felt like absence may have actually been inner conflict, the kind that forms when one part of someone recognizes something deeply meaningful, while another part becomes afraid of what that meaning might require. What they may be going through is not simple longing. It's more layered than that. You may have awakened something in them that didn't fit into their usual emotional patterns. Being close to you may have made them feel seen in ways they weren't prepared for. It may have brought forward parts of themselves they usually keep hidden: their vulnerability, their fears, their unmet needs, their past pain. When someone unintentionally brings those deeper parts to the surface, it creates a powerful tension. One part of them wants to move closer, drawn by connection and recognition. Another part wants to retreat, triggered by exposure and uncertainty. That push and pull makes the connection itself difficult for them to hold. So their response may not have been about your value at all. It may have been about what your presence stirred inside them. And that distinction matters, because when someone steps away from something they can't manage internally, it doesn't erase the impact. It lingers. It leaves an imprint. It shows up in unexpected moments, in memories they didn't plan to revisit, in small reminders that bring you back into their awareness without warning. That's why something still feels unresolved. Because genuine emotional impact doesn't simply disappear when someone goes quiet. It often continues beneath the surface, unseen but active. There may be times when they think of you without intending to, early in the morning before the day fully begins, late at night when everything becomes quiet again, in brief pauses throughout their routine, in moments when life feels steady on the outside but something internally still feels incomplete. They may replay conversations. They may imagine what they would say if they reached out. They may form words in their mind only to hold back before making them real. From the outside, they might appear fine, composed, even unaffected. But internal processing often hides behind an ordinary appearance. That's what makes silence so difficult to understand. Nothing visible seems to be happening, yet internally there can be pressure, reflection, and unresolved emotion building over time. What you meant to them may still influence how they experience other connections. Conversations might feel less meaningful. Experiences might feel less alive, not because life has stopped, but because some connections leave a depth that is not easily replaced. And if you've noticed sudden reminders, emotional waves, or heightened awareness around them, it doesn't mean something mysterious is controlling your life. It means your mind is responding to something unresolved. Emotion sharpens memory. Uncertainty intensifies focus. The heart naturally moves toward what it doesn't yet understand. But this next part is essential. What you're feeling isn't only about them, it's also about your need for closure. When something meaningful remains unfinished, the mind continues searching for resolution. During this quiet period, both of you may be changing in ways that aren't immediately visible. They may be questioning their own reactions, wondering why this connection affected them so deeply, why they couldn't handle it differently, whether stepping back protected them or caused them to lose something real. That kind of realization doesn't happen all at once. It comes gradually, often inconsistently. One day they may feel certain they made the right choice. Another day they may feel the weight of what was left unsaid. Understanding develops quietly beneath the surface while life continues outwardly, and that's why any visible shift can seem sudden if it ever happens. By the time someone reaches out, much of the emotional processing has already been happening internally for a long time. But here is where your attention needs to change direction. Because while they may be evolving internally, so are you. Waiting reveals a lot about you. It shows how much of your energy became tied to expectation. It shows how quickly the mind fills silence with assumptions. It reveals your capacity for hope, your sensitivity to uncertainty, your desire for clarity. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But staying in that state too long can pull you away from your own life. You begin orbiting around a possibility instead of living within your reality. And this is where the shift begins. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is to stop letting unanswered emotions take over your entire world. As time passes, something subtle starts to change. Your attention begins to return to yourself. Slowly, not perfectly, but steadily. You reconnect with your own routines, your own thoughts, your own direction. You remember that your life has always been bigger than one connection. This doesn't erase what you felt. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't matter. It means you stop losing yourself in someone else's silence. You begin reclaiming the parts of yourself that got caught in waiting, analyzing, and hoping. And that shift is powerful, because when longing becomes less overwhelming, clarity starts to grow. The feeling may still exist, but it no longer controls you. Instead, you hold it with awareness and balance. That changes everything, because if contact ever returns, it will meet a different version of you. Someone more grounded, more self-aware, less defined by uncertainty. This is where emotional growth truly begins. Not when you receive all the answers, but when you learn how to live fully without them. Not when the silence ends, but when it no longer defines your worth. That inner transformation is significant. It reshapes how you see them, how you see yourself. and how you approach whatever comes next. And if communication ever does break through the silence, it likely won't look the way you imagined. It won't be perfectly timed or flawlessly expressed. It may arrive unexpectedly in a simple moment that suddenly feels significant. A message, a call, an unplanned encounter. What gives it weight won't just be the words themselves, but everything behind them, the emotions that were delayed, the thoughts that were avoided, the feelings that stayed unspoken for too long. When emotions are held back, they rarely come out smoothly. They come in fragments, in pauses, in sentences that don't fully land because the feeling is bigger than the language. There may be hesitation, not because there's nothing there, but because there's too much to express easily. There may be silence between words. There may be honesty that even they didn't expect to reveal. And if that moment happens, you may need to listen beyond what is being said, to understand what exists underneath the awkward delivery, beneath the imperfect phrasing, beneath the emotional weight they are trying to carry, because sincerity isn't always polished. Sometimes the most genuine truths are expressed imperfectly. Sometimes real emotion trembles when it finally surfaces. A person can sound uncertain simply because they're trying to put something deeply complex into words that feel too small. That kind of moment wouldn't just be expression, it would be evidence that something inside them shifted enough that remaining silent was no longer possible. But even if they do reach out, it doesn't automatically resolve everything or make things easy, and this part matters more than you think, so stay with this. Real emotion doesn't automatically dissolve fear. Missing someone doesn't mean they're ready to come back and rebuild. A person can care in a deep and genuine way, yet still feel lost when it comes to repairing something that was left incomplete, delayed, or uncertain. They might see your worth clearly and still struggle with trust, timing, vulnerability, or the weight of their own past experiences. So if a reconnection ever happens, it won't be based on feelings alone. It will depend on what has changed in both of you during the time apart. Because time changes people. Reflection reshapes people. Pain leaves its mark. Growth transforms how we see everything. Two people meeting again after distance are never the exact same individuals who once stood face to face. That's why any return carries a deeper decision within it, not just whether to reconnect, but what kind of connection can exist now. Can what you had before evolve into something healthier? Do your emotional needs align more clearly now? Are both of you more honest, more grounded, more aware of your patterns? Or does this connection belong more to memory than to your present reality? These questions matter more than the fantasy, because longing has a way of making familiarity feel like destiny, even when the deeper truth is more complicated. So if that door ever opens again, it can't be entered blindly. It has to be approached with honesty, self-respect, and the willingness to see things as they truly are, not just as you wish them to be. There's another truth here, and it may be the most important one. While it's natural to focus on whether they return, the deeper story has always been about who you become in the absence of certainty. This is where real transformation happens, in the waiting, in the quiet moments when no answers come, and life still asks you to move forward. You still wake up, you still go through your day, you still carry yourself through moments that feel incomplete. And that process can either weaken your foundation or strengthen it. Slowly, if you allow it, it strengthens you. You begin to understand that your emotional balance cannot stay in someone else's hands. Your sense of worth cannot keep rising and falling based on their presence or absence. Your life cannot remain paused around a silence you didn't create and cannot control. This realization doesn't make you cold. It steadies you. It teaches you how to feel deeply without losing your center. It shows you how to care without disappearing into someone else. It reminds you that love doesn't have to mean living inside uncertainty. And once that lesson begins to settle within you, something shifts. You stop waiting in the same restless, consuming way. You start living again, truly living, not because all your questions have been answered, but because you are no longer defined by the lack of answers. That is where quiet freedom begins. From that place, any future interaction becomes clearer. You can recognize what is real and what is not. You can feel the difference between genuine growth and temporary emotion. You can see whether someone brings truth or just a passing wave of regret. This kind of clarity protects your heart without closing it. The intensity you once felt may begin to soften, not because the connection meant less, but because you are no longer smaller than the waiting. You are no longer consumed by it. That's what healing often looks like. It doesn't always erase the feeling. It changes how you relate to it. Instead of being pulled between hope and fear, you find a steadier ground. You can remember without falling apart. You can wonder without chasing. You can honor what mattered without making it the center of everything. And when that happens, even your perception of them begins to change. They are no longer the center of an unfinished story. They become one meaningful part of a life that is still unfolding. This matters more than it seems, because many people confuse emotional intensity with emotional truth. But intensity alone doesn't determine what is right for you. Sometimes it simply reveals where your deepest needs and wounds were touched. What you choose to do with that awareness is what shapes your path forward. You can use it to understand your patterns more clearly, your attachments, your need for certainty, your fear of being forgotten, your tendency to give too much meaning to what remains unresolved. And this awareness doesn't diminish the connection, it strengthens you within it. It gives you your power back. It allows you to hold the memory with openness instead of clinging to it tightly. Don't rush past this. The most important answer may not be whether they return. It may be who you become when you no longer need that answer to feel complete. Still, life has a way of circling back in unexpected ways. People do return. Silence does break. Truths that were once hidden can surface when they become too heavy to carry alone. And if that happens here, it may not look the way you imagined. It may not come with casual words or surface-level explanations. It may arrive with a kind of vulnerability you've never seen from them before. A level of honesty that only comes after someone has spent enough time facing themselves. They may struggle to express it. Their words might come out imperfectly. Their voice may not be steady. Their honesty may feel unpolished. But the deeper question to ask is this: has the silence changed them, or has it only made them lonely? Because real growth leaves traces. Greater self-awareness, a sense of responsibility, a willingness to face what was avoided before, a more grounded and honest presence. If all they bring is emotion without clarity, longing without accountability, then the same patterns may still exist beneath the surface. But if what they bring feels different, more stable, more sincere, more real, you will feel that too. And even then, the choice remains yours. Not the choice of the version of you who once feared losing them, but the choice of the version of you who has learned to stand on their own without depending on uncertainty to define them. That version of you understands something essential. A return only has value if it meets you with truth, not confusion, and offers something healthier than what silence left behind. So let this settle within you in a simple way. Their silence may have held more feeling than you realized. Their distance may have come from inner conflict rather than indifference. Their quiet may have been filled with thoughts and emotions they couldn't express clearly. That is possible, but your peace cannot depend on that possibility alone. Your peace has to come from something deeper, something more stable than waiting for someone else to explain what they never knew how to say. It begins when you stop measuring your worth by what was left unsaid. It begins when you bring your energy back to your own life, your own growth, your own path, your own inner stability. It begins when you accept that what is meant for you will find its way to you in its own time, and what doesn't return cannot take away who you are. That is where fear starts to loosen its grip. That is where hope becomes lighter, no longer desperate, but steady and clear. And that is where life begins to open again. New experiences, new understanding, new strength, maybe even new love in whatever form your journey is meant to hold. Because your story does not end in someone else's silence. It continues, it grows, it shapes you into someone stronger and more aware. And whether a message comes tomorrow, months from now, or never at all, one truth remains unchanged. What you felt was real, what you experienced mattered, and what you've learned matters even more. The version of you emerging from this uncertainty is already becoming stronger than the pain that first brought you here. If you still feel the weight of something unfinished, that's natural. The mind always tries to turn uncertainty into certainty. It wants to know how the story ends. It wants to define the silence, to label it as loss, delay, fear, love, regret, or something else. But not every chapter reveals itself on demand. Some things only become clear when both people have lived enough, felt enough, and changed enough to face the truth without running from it. That's why forcing clarity often pushes peace further away. Real clarity tends to arrive when pressure softens, when chasing stops, when overthinking loosens its grip, when life is allowed to move and breathe again. In that space, truth becomes easier to recognize. If something is meant to grow, it will take shape in its own time. If something is meant to end, that truth will also become clear. Either way, your role remains the same. Stay rooted in yourself. Keep your heart open, but don't lose your center. Let memories exist without turning them into a place you're trapped in. Let longing teach you without letting it control you. Let silence reveal what it came to reveal. And if their words ever reach you, receive them with calm, not hunger, with clarity, not desperation, as someone who has already found their strength again. Because that is the real shift. Not whether they speak, but whether you have become someone who can face any outcome and still remain whole. That is where peace begins. That is where your power returns. And that is where this story becomes something greater than waiting. So for now, breathe. Let the silence exist without turning it into proof that you were forgotten. Let the questions remain without allowing them to consume you. Let the connection mean what it meant, but don't let it become the only meaning in your life. Keep moving forward. Keep rebuilding. Keep giving your energy to the parts of yourself that still need your attention, your care, your presence. Because the deeper lesson here is not just whether someone else recognizes your value. It is whether you recognize it so deeply that no silence can take it away. And once that understanding settles within you, everything changes. Waiting changes, memory changes, even love changes. It becomes less about being chosen and more about living in alignment with your truth. Less about hoping for a return and more about honoring what your heart has learned. If they come back, you will meet that moment differently. If they don't, you will still have grown into someone stronger, wiser, and more fully alive. And that is not a small outcome. That is real transformation. So don't fear this phase just because it feels uncertain. Some of the deepest growth happens in silence. Some of the strongest versions of you are built in the unanswered spaces. And one day you may look back and realize that what felt like being stuck was actually a quiet rebuilding, not just of the connection, but of yourself. And in the end, that may be the part that mattered most. In the end, this entire experience is not just about someone else's silence, their return, or their feelings. It's about your own evolution through uncertainty. What felt like confusion, distance, and emotional weight was also shaping you, teaching you how to stand in your own strength without needing constant answers. Their silence may have held meaning, it may have carried emotion, but your peace cannot depend on decoding it. What truly matters is who you have become in the process, someone more aware, more grounded, and less willing to lose themselves in waiting. Whether they return or not no longer defines your worth or your direction, because real growth begins when you stop needing closure to feel whole and start living fully in your own truth. So the story doesn't end with silence. It continues with you, stronger, clearer, and more in control of your emotional world. And that is the real transformation this journey was always leading you toward. Before you go, if this message resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe to Jungian Pulse, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss what truly matters. And if you felt this on a deeper level, comment "Inner Shift" below.